It's taking a second.
Yeah,
Okay, you're live.
it always takes a second. Hello, everybody. My name is Jeff Gibby. I hope you're doing well. Thanks for coming today. It's good to see you, and may I say, you look fantastic. Let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to start, as always, with the legal introductions. Today's demonstration is designed to instruct you on using Metastock and the accompanying software plugins. It is not a recommendation to buy or sell, but rather guidelines to interpreting and using specific indicators and features within the software. The information, software, and techniques presented today should only be used by investors who are aware of the risk inherent in trading. Metastock shall have no liability for any decisions based on the use of the software, trading strategies, or any information provided in connection with the company. Also, we're not going to recommend any stocks. I noticed this disclaimer is a little bit, it doesn't include one other section. We're not paid to endorse any securities. We're not going to endorse any securities. Nothing in today's presentation should be construed as a solicitation to buy a security. I paraphrased it as best as I could remember it. So today, I want to welcome our guest, Daniel Sinnig. Daniel's been a longtime contributor of Metastock. Very, very brilliant mind when it comes to developing indicators, somebody that I really, really kind of respect kind of the thought process and the creativity that he brings to the table when he develops and designs indicators. And so without further ado, Daniel, let's go ahead and get you started.
Yes, hey, thanks, Jeffrey.
Yeah,
hello, everyone.
I'm going to throw you the controls right here.
Okay, I'm going to put myself on camera first to greet everyone in person. Hey, guys. It's nice to be here. It's nice to be with our good friends from Metastock. Let me just drag in my little window here. 1 second so I can share my screen.
Take your time.
And then we do have an exciting topic prepared today. So let me just see if this works. There we go. All right. So now you guys should be able to see my screen. Jeffrey, if you could please confirm this.
Yeah.
Awesome.
We can.
All right.
We can hear you really well. Everything looks good. So my job here is done for now. I'll be back later. I'm here if you need me.
Perfect. Yeah, thanks, Jeffrey. All right, so today's topic in this dedicated webinar is about AI-powered trading. And, you know, we always had the belief that the good trading tools and, smart trading tools, they can help you make better trading decisions. And as we perhaps all know, one of the most common trading tools out there are chart indicators, things that you apply to the chart and which will show you some insights that you would not see with the naked eye. Now, these indicators have been very popular. And in fact, we at tradingindicators.com, as our name suggests, we specialize in developing these chart indicators. And we've done this for many, many years now. And over the years, we've built thousands of them for clients all over the world. And with everything we do, one of our main objectives is that the indicator should make your trading life easier and not more complex. And ideally, should also show you something that can truly help you make better and more insightful trading decisions. And today, we are going to discover together how the power of artificial intelligence integrated into trading indicators, into indicators on the chart, can help you truly make better trading decisions. So we're going to go through many, many different examples today, and I will show you, and hopefully by the end of this presentation, you will all understand that, wow, this actually can improve the results of my trading when used correctly. So without further ado, let's get into it. And just 2 quick reminders. First off, if you have any questions, please don't be shy. This webinar is for you. Put your questions into the Q&A box of your webinar tool, and Jeffrey and we will look out for these questions and address them as we proceed through this presentation. And secondly, also from my end, I need to quickly remind you that trading does contain substantial risk and therefore is not suited for every investor. If you trade, make sure to only use risk capital, which is money that you actually can afford to lose. When it comes to backtest performance or hypothetical performance, keep in mind that this is not necessarily indicative of future performance, and any trade ideas and strategies discussed in this webinar should not be construed as trade advice. These are for educational purposes only. All right, so with this out of the way, let's get into it. And a quick reminder, I mentioned it before, we here at tradingindicators.com, and by the way, I'm hailing from beautiful Montreal in Canada. Spring has kicked in and it's really nice outside. finally. So we at tradingindicators.com, we specialize in creating trading indicators. We've been doing this for many, many years. This is our bread and butter. We do this for many different platforms, including Metastock. And we love Metastock for many of its qualities, for example, its scanning capabilities and so forth. So we have all our flagship indicators available for Metastock. And when we started off, we built indicators, and they were nice, and they were nice to use, and they gave us further insights. And in particular, they gave us what we call trading signals. And this is what we started off. So indicators would tell us, when applied to the chart, hey, perhaps now would be a good moment to consider going long, or perhaps going short, or perhaps closing out a position. And that was pretty much standard. This is how we started off, and there were many, many indicators like this out there. So we're just one out of many. But then we were thinking, because we are all software engineers by training here, and we were capable of creating our own indicators. We had the software knowledge for this, and we were thinking, hey, what else could traders need besides signals, which would further help them make better trading decisions? Because there's so much more that could be done, especially in today's day and age. There's so much possible. Technology has advanced so much, but we thought perhaps in trading, maybe not the same speed. Now we hear about AI everywhere and cloud computing and all these fancy terms, but it seems like for trading, most of the indicators, they've been used since the 90s or 2000s, almost the same way. And we were not happy with this. So we thought, hey, what else could be done to help traders make better trading decisions? And back in the day when we asked ourselves those questions, one thing was very popular on TV. I don't know if you guys remember, it was poker. And we had these poker broadcasts on TV. And one thing that I always found fascinating is what you see here on the left-hand side. You see this one here, these statistics next to the poker hand, basically showing you, the viewer on TV, what are the odds of this guy here winning his poker hand, and what are the odds of this guy here winning his poker hand? So 80 to 20 in this case. And of course, this was only visible to the viewers on TV. The poker players could not see it, but I like this information. This really gave me, as a viewer, a lot of extra information. So I was thinking, that's pretty cool. What if we could somehow integrate a piece of technology into our indicators, which would show something similar, but not to the poker player, but to us traders, basically showing us directly on the price chart what are potentially the odds of winning my next trade and the odds of losing my next trade. Wouldn't that be cool? Imagine you had something like this directly on your price chart. So we pursued this idea further, and we start coding and developing and brainstorming and experimenting with this idea. And we came up with a technology which is capable of showing you directly on your chart, or in case of Metastock, directly in the expert commentary, what the predicted odds are of winning your next long trade or your next short trade. So we basically answered the question, can this be done? With yes, it is possible. And here's one example from a different platform showing you what I mean. It shows you directly on the price chart, hey, the odds of winning my next long signal, buy signal, is at 91%, and the odds of winning my next short signal is at 87.5%. Of course, they don't always have to be this high, but this gives you some extra information. And it basically tells you, as a trader, how much you can trust the signals generated by an indicator. We thought, wow, this is really important information, because there's no indicator in the entire world, I guarantee you, which will work equally well on any symbol and time frame out there. Every symbol is different, every time frame is different. And sometimes the indicator and its signals will work really well, like this one here, and sometimes they will not work as well. But knowing how it works and how well it works, how well these signals have been performing, this is really important information, and every trader should be able to see this. So what we've done is we have integrated this odds prediction technology. We called it back in the day the instant efficiency technology. We have integrated this into our indicators, and it has been a game changer to us and to many of our users. Why? Well, here's a summary why. First off, it allows you, the trader, to make truly informed trading decisions, and basically allows you to trade when the odds are stacked in your favor. And if they're not, you would stay on the sidelines. You would not take the trade. As I often say, not taking a trade sometimes is the best trade advice that you can get. All right, so this is possible. And there's one more thing which became possible by knowing what these predicted odds are. We could actually see what the optimal parameters might be for an indicator. As you may know, every indicator pretty much out there comes with settings and parameters. And you can change them, you can tweak them, you can modify them, and they will change the sequence on the chart. But of course, oftentimes this is guesswork. Knowing what the best parameters are is very hard to know without any hard evidence, without knowing if it actually increased the performance and improved the performance, or perhaps made it worse. But now, by knowing what these statistics are, we are now in a position to actually see what is the effect, what is the result of changing some of the parameters. We could see it here directly in these percentages. All right, so this was pretty cool, and we were happy with this. And this was done, I'd say maybe 4 or 5 years ago. But then we thought, let's not stop here. Let's push this a bit further. And there's a reason for this. Remember what I just said about the parameters. Now we were able to find these best parameters by just looking if they improve or make the statistics worse or better. But this actually turned out to be quite a tedious process and quite a challenging process for all kinds of traders, even the most seasoned ones. Why? Because it takes time. You have to change the parameter, see what it did to the odds, made it better or worse, and change another parameter, and so forth and so forth. Whenever you change time frame or whenever you change symbol, you would have to start over again. Oof, that sounded really tedious, and in fact, it was really, really tedious. And in trading, we as traders, we don't want to be occupied by these tedious tasks. This is exhausting and costs a lot of energy. We want to save our mental energy, our capacity for one thing and one thing only, to decide whether we want to pull the trigger and enter into a trade or perhaps stay on the sidelines. This is what we need to focus on as traders, and not changing parameters and trying to find tediously what the best ones are. So we thought, once again, similar to our first problem there, hey, what if there was a better way to avoid this tediousness? Well, we came up with something which is called auto optimization. So you may know optimization already from strategies and bots, where you could backtest and find the best parameters. But this technology did not exist yet for indicators. So we used the same idea and integrated auto optimization into our indicators. This was another game changer. And this time, it would save us so much time. It freed up all kinds of time for us that we could now truly focus on, once again, as I mentioned, making this final trading decision and not tediously changing charts and parameters and timeframes and so forth. Now we had auto optimization. And in this webinar, I apologize for this long lead up. In this webinar, we will show you that these two technology, the win rate prediction and auto optimization, will make a huge difference for any indicator. And it doesn't really matter what kind of indicator it is. It could be, for example, a stop and reverse indicator, which basically changes position from long to short, from short to long, and so forth and so forth. It will make a big difference for those ones. It will make a big difference for trend trading indicators, for divergence or reversal indicators, for breakout indicators, or indicators that look for Confluence, where multiple sub-indicators need to forecast the same price move. So for all these different types of indicators, and they're all out there, auto optimization and win rate prediction makes a huge difference. So in this webinar, I'm going to demo this to you and show you what the power of this is. All right, now let's start with the first one, stop and reverse. And for this one, we're going to go to a classic. And perhaps you may have some classic indicators in mind which follow this exact paradigm, stop and reverse. For example, SuperTrend. You may have heard about it. It's an indicator which is available, built in for most trading platforms. And in fact, it was developed quite a long time ago by a guy called Olivier Sebon, a French guy. He even wrote a book about this indicator, and it has become fast or over time one of the most influential trend trading indicators out there. And it's specialized in the early detection of trend reversals. So it would basically look out, hey, is this uptrend here coming to an end or slowing down? Well, let's reverse it. And the anticipation was that prices are going to go down from that point on to the short side, which would then at some point again reverse to the upside, and so forth and so forth. So here's an example of this, how SuperTrend, the classic indicator, would work. You have these entry signals, and you would go long here, and you would stay in this long trade up until this trading stop here. Every signal came with a stop, which would be trailed up. This trading stop here would be broken. And once the trading stop, this green line, was broken, the signal would reverse to the short side. And basically, you would reverse your position to the short side and stay in this short trade all the way until once again this trading stop would be confirmed to be broken, and then you would go long again. And this would alternate. Short to long, long to short, short to long, and so forth and so forth. All right, so this is how this classic version of the indicator looks like. And let me show it to you how it looks on Metastock. Then we're going to see how auto optimization and win rate prediction can make a huge difference. All right, so I'm going to switch over to Metastock. Just give me 1 second. There we go. And here we have, oops, just click something, let this load real quick. There we go. Here we have our, here we have the SPY. The SPY, the S&P 500 ETF applied to the daily time frame. Let me just hide this real quick. And in fact, what I'm going to do, bear with me for 1 second, is I will apply a nice template to it, so it looks a bit nicer. Just give me 1 second. I'm going to pick our SuperTrend Bullseye template. There we go. If I can find it. Okay, here we go. All right, so it's applied now. And let's have a look what's happening here. So once this loads, we can see that we have this classic stop and reverse paradigm. A short trade would go stay short until it's replaced by a long signal, short signal, long signal, short signal, and so forth. So they would always alternate. And basically, it would also mean that you are always in the market. Stop and reverse. This is classic stop and reverse. All right. Now, this is applied to a very common symbol, the SPY. We can see it here. And you would think, the SPY has been performing quite nicely. And you would think that SuperTrend should be working quite not well on the daily time frame because it's a trending symbol. And for the most time, the S&P, they go up, even though we had a bit of a correction lately, which of course has come to an end now. It's been trending quite a bit. You would imagine that this would be reflected in the quality of the signal of the SuperTrend indicator. And if you look at these signals here, they don't look too bad. They look decent, at least looking at these small snippet here. But let's zoom in a little bit more. Let me open up the expert commentary, because now we're going to look at some hard evidence, how well these signals are actually performing. So I'm going to open up my commentary. Oops, there we go, commentary up. And we're going to have a look now. All right, where is it? It's sitting down here. There we go. Okay, so this is the commentary. And we can see, if we scroll down here, that the indicator will actually tell you, oh boy, we took 35 trades, and of these 35 trades, only 41 were winners to the long side, or 41% were winners to the long side, and 33% were winners to the short side. All right, and the profit factor is 0.93. All right. This actually looked much better here at first glance, but now having these statistics, I can see that, whoa, actually I would have lost money had I traded every single signal. And this to us was an eye-opener. It's like, oh my goodness. Maybe what felt like, at least looking at it, if I look at these couple of signals here, it looked pretty good, but over time, actually you would have lost money. And once again, as a trader, you want to know this information. It's super important that you need to know how much you can trust these signals. Okay, so in this case, the trust is not too much. It's 0.93 profit factor. That's a losing trading system. But of course, not everything is lost. We could always try to tweak the parameters to see perhaps with better parameters, we will get better results. And in fact, for SuperTrend Bullseye, it's these two parameters here which can be tweaked, the multiplier parameter and the period parameter. Now, of course, what you could do then is to go in and change perhaps this parameter to maybe 4 or 1.5 or whatever it might be, and change this parameter to, and then see, did my performance improve? Well, as I mentioned before, this is tedious, and I don't want to even do it right now. It's too tedious. I refuse to do it. Instead, let me show you how auto optimization works, where basically the indicator will find the optimal parameters all by itself. So how does this work? Well, I'm going to go to the settings of this indicator right here. You can see it here, SuperTrend bolts or SuperTrend settings. I click on edit. This is now our version where this technology is implemented. And I basically tell the optimizer, hey, try for this particular symbol, all combinations now for this multiplier parameter between 3, let's say, and maybe 6. And then for the period parameter, which used to be 20, perhaps between 20 and 100. So try all these different parameters to find the best ones for me. So I click OK. All right, I close this, I reload my chart, and let's see what happens now. So now these signals have been optimized. Now you can see the signals are different on the chart now. They're not the same anymore. But the real kicker is now, for example, we're using these parameters, 5 and 20, for the 5 for the multiplier and 20 for the period. And the real kicker is this one here. Look how our win rates have changed. All of a sudden, we now have a win rate of 71% for the long side and 28% for the short side. So in combination, these are better. And especially if you're a long trader, you now have much more confidence that, hey, these signals are actually working out much better to the long side now because they're using now optimal parameters. And I have hard evidence here. So long signals are working out really nicely. The short one's not so good. That's also important to know. Why? Because you as a trader, when a short signal comes along, perhaps you will just stay on the sidelines. Now, historically speaking, they have not been performed that well. And you can see here the profit factor all of a sudden has become profitable. It used to be 0.95, which is not profitable. Now it's 1.44, which indicates a profitable trading system. And this was possible by using optimal parameters, which the indicator automatically determined to use. All right, so this was one example. Let's move on to another one. All right, let me go over, and I had one prepared right here. Just a second. Actually, I'm gonna go back to Bitcoin. So one second, let me just go here to Bitcoin right here. Also here we have SuperTrend bullseye applied to the signals. And let me just quickly see. Yeah, I'm gonna once again go back to the version just so you can see the difference. Real quick to the version where we don't use auto optimization, just to compare the effect of what kind of big difference it can make. Right, so I'm going to go back to this one. Just bear with me for 1 second. I refresh my chart, and once again, we're going to look at the performance statistics. So right now, we are using default parameters. You can see here, long goes to short, to long, to short, and so forth and so forth. In this version, the trading stop is not shown, but that's not important. What's important is this one here. Look at our performance. And once again, you may think, hey, Bitcoin probably should have. By the way, we made all-time highs today in Bitcoin, which was quite exciting. That's a different topic, but Bitcoin has been trending a lot. You may assume once again, SuperTrend in its classic version with default parameters should perform fairly well. But no, it does not. 0.55 profit factor with the default parameters, which is not good at all, and low win rates. You can see it here. But let's try to optimize the parameters one more time. So I'm going to go to our settings here and do the same thing. I ask the indicator, hey, optimize for me. Try to find the best parameters within these ranges automatically for myself. So I click here, I close it, and then I reload. And once it's reloaded, you can see we will have different signals on the chart, fewer signals. And if you look at the statistics, all of a sudden 1.63 profit factor. That makes more sense now because we're using optimal parameters. And this was possible by integrating our auto optimization routine into this indicator. And I hope you can see what kind of a big difference this will make. So first of all, you're going to save a lot of time because you don't have to come up with these best settings by yourself, whatever they may be. And secondly, you can be assured that you're always trading with the optimal parameters. And guess what? As new bars roll in, so imagine you're on a lower time frame, the 1 minute time frame or the 5 minute time frame where bars roll in much quicker, the optimal settings will change. And the indicator will automatically determine for you what these optimal settings are. And by the way, here, it's a bit of an oddity. We have 100% win rate to the long side and 0% win rate to the short side. That's possible. That it's so extremely different, but at least now you know. And once again, what would you do with this information? Well, you would not take a short trade. It's as easy as this. You would focus whenever a long signal comes along on the long direction only. You would ignore the short side. Once again, as a trader, you want to know this information because it will help you to make truly insightful trading decisions. All right, so quickly back to the charts. We're going to come back to the slides. We're going to come back to the charts in just a second. All right, so I'm going to go back to my slides if I can find them. There we go. All right, so what have we seen so far? Well, basically, we have seen how auto optimization works. The indicator basically finding the best parameters for you. And we have seen how valuable these performance statistics are. It's no longer up to guesswork, which can be very flawed, especially if you only look at a small snippet of your chart. Now you have hard statistics as to how well or how poorly the signals are performing. And what we've also done in this version of SuperTrend, which we call SuperTrend Bullseye, by the way, it's one of our flagship indicators, we have integrated all kinds of extra features, such as different reversal modes, basically indicating when the position should be reversed, when we touch the trading stop or when we close below or above the trading stop. And we have different trading starts also integrated. These are some extra features, but the most important ones are these ones here: auto optimization and performance statistics, two game changers. But you may say now, hey, this was one indicator. Maybe it's an outlier. Well, let's continue. All right. So what about if we look at trend trading indicators or divergence indicators for reversals, or perhaps breakout indicators? All right, let's see how auto optimization and win rate prediction can make a difference there. Okay, so for this, we actually have developed a whole suite of our own indicators called the Power Bundle 360. We say it's a suite because it consists of 3 indicators. Yeah, one for each of these trading starts, one for trend trading, one for reversals based on divergence, and one for trading sideways markets, looking for breakouts. So we have this Power Bundle 360, and just real quick, so you have a bit of a feel for it. The first indicator is our trend trading indicator, which we call 1 to 3 strike. And basically, and by the way, you may say, hey, trend trading indicator, wasn't SuperTrend Bullseye a trend trading indicator? In my opinion, it was not, or SuperTrend in general, because it's an indicator where you would look for trend reversals, complete reversals. This is not what we had in mind here. We wanted to find good entry points when we are within a confirmed and strong trend, not necessarily reversing it, trading that trend. That was the specialization of this indicator, 1 to 3 strike. And it would confirm a strong trend and an entry signal if 3 things come together. We need to have directionality, so price needs to move either up or down for quite some time. We need to have an increase of volume and an increase of volatility. And if all these things come together, an entry signal would be fired off. So that's the first one. The second one is based on divergence, a concept that you are probably familiar with, which is basically a discrepancy between price move and an underlying indicator. There's so many different divergence or forms of divergence out there. RSI divergence comes to mind, stochastics divergence, or perhaps MACD divergence, and so forth. But we decided, hey, let's create our own one. We're kind of researchers by heart. We want to do our own thing, and we came up with a new form of divergence called volatility momentum divergence, which, at least in our books and based on our research, is the most telling one for finding pullbacks or entire trend reversals. So this was our second indicator, divergence cloud, in that bundle. And the third one was called volatility crusher, or is called volatility crusher, an indicator designed to detect what we call strong breakouts. And a strong breakout is a breakout where price will continue in the direction of the breakout for quite some time afterwards. And you can imagine, as a trader, that this can be quite a big opportunity, because you would simply enter when this breakout occurs in the direction of the breakout and then capitalize in the continuation of that move. Now, how do these indicators look like on Metastock, and what is the impact of auto optimization, for example, in these indicators? So let's take a look. Back to Metastock, and we're going to change it up right now, and we're going to look at General Electric. And by the way, I'm using daily charts here, but this will work just as well on intraday timeframes, but it will also work on futures charts or FX charts or crypto and so forth. So All right, so what do we see here? This is our 1, 2, 3 strike indicator. You can see it here in the expert commentary. All right, and what you see on the chart here is it's interesting because this indicator, it's not a stop and reverse indicator. It's an indicator where you actually can be flat at times, because it will give you entry signals and also exit signals, these little smaller arrows in the opposite direction. So you enter along here, for example, you take a partial exit here. That's a parameter we can set. Another one here, and another one here, and then we're flat. And we wait for the next signal to come. And here it's possible, for example, that you have 2 signals in the same direction at the same time, or not the same consecutively. So long here, and then another long entry. This was different in SuperTrend Bullseye, which was stop and reverse. There, these signals would always alternate. This doesn't have to be the case with this indicator. It's a classic trend trading indicator. Waiting for a trend to start and then giving you a signal, hey, there are signs right now that this trend is going to kick off. And you get this entry signals along with exit suggestions. Okay, so this is how it works. But of course, now let's look at the win rate prediction feature and auto optimization, see what kind of impact it can make. Okay, so first off, we can see also for this one here that we have our win rate statistics. So in this case, 76% to the long side for the long entry signals and 41% to the short side. Once again, giving you an indication of how well this indicator has been performing for this particular symbol. And of course, if you change symbol or time frame, these statistics will change. All right, so this was our first attempt to it. But this version you're seeing right now does not use auto optimization. This was our previous version. So I'm going to demonstrate to you right now what the impact of auto optimization will be, how it can improve the quality of the signal. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to load the auto optimizing version of this indicator to the chart. We go to attach here, scroll down to our indicators, and load up the 1, 2, 3 strike AO edition. AO stands for auto optimization. So I'm going to attach it, and please take a look at these statistics, how they improve or get worse. So 76 and 41. I attach it, it will recalculate, and once done, let me just go down here, we see the new statistics, and you can see here what the impact is across all the bars on my chart. It's now 89% for long signals and 65% for short signals. A big difference. And this was possible once again because now we are using optimal parameters, not just the default ones. Big difference. Yeah, and this is not limited to just this symbol here. What about Tesla? This is Tesla here. Once again, same indicator on it, our trend trading indicator. We can see here, without auto optimization, our stats are 80 and 57%. And now with auto optimization, that's just a different indicator. And of course, right now, I'm trying to make a case here, but when we trade, we only use the auto optimizing versions. Why wouldn't we? I'm trying to make a case here. So I'm going to load up the auto optimizing version and look once again how these win rates will change. So with 80 and 57%, and now we have, once this loads, we have 80 and 75%. Now, I believe that's higher. And in our optimization period, 86 and 78%. So it's higher. Maybe not as much of a huge difference, but nonetheless, this has improved. Yeah, once again, and this was possible because we were using optimal parameters for this particular symbol. All right, so this was our first indicator, our trend trading indicator. But let's move on. Let's go to IBM. Different example and different indicator. This indicator here is our reversal indicator or our divergence indicator. It's called divergence cloud. You can see it here. This indicator, first off, finds instances of bullish divergence. You see this little ribbon here when it's greenish, or bearish divergence. And we have some traders in our trading room who only use this information for their trading. Basically as a filter. They will only go long if at the same time we have bullish divergence, and they will only go short, perhaps with their own trading system, if at the same time we have bearish divergence. All right, so this is the first thing this indicator does, but it also comes with entry signals. You can see it here, short entry signal, big red arrow to the downside, or long entry signal, big green arrow to the upside. And it also comes, if I zoom in a little bit, with exit suggestions, these smaller arrows here, where you can take some profits. And of course, we have our win rates. So here for IBM, when we trade every signal, we would have a win rate to the long side of 69% and 46% to the short side. All right, but this is once again the not auto-optimizing version. Basically, here we are using the default settings. But what if you would use the optimal settings for this particular time frame and symbol? Well, let's see. I'm going to open it up and load once again the auto-optimizing version. This one here, Divergence Cloud AO. AO for auto optimization. I attach to it and look at the statistics. Now we're at 80 and 65% across all bars on the chart. Once again, a big improvement. Yeah, and this was possible because now we are using the optimal parameters. And of course, the signals on the chart also have changed. Another example, USO, United States Oil Fund. So oil's been ranging lately, yeah. It felt like oil's been ranging between like 83 and 60 for 2 years in a row. And you would think perhaps, the indicator should do quite well on such a symbol. Well, let's have a look. This is the non-optimizing version. 68% to the long side of all signals worked out nicely, and only 33% to the short side. Well, that's not so good. But once again, this tells you something. This basically tells you, hey, when this indicator gives me a short signal, perhaps I should not trade it. But of course, you could also try to make these signals better by using optimal parameters. So once again, I'm going to apply the auto-optimizing version. We're almost through this, I promise you, of this indicator, just to show you that once I use the auto-optimizing version, which we only use, once again, I'm making a case here, you will see how these statistics potentially will improve. So now we are at 74% to the long side and 60% to the short side. Huge difference. Yeah, the quality of the signals has vastly improved. And only this was possible by using now optimal parameters. And best of all, the indicator will find these optimal parameters automatically for us. Okay, so to conclude this section, let's look at our breakout indicator called volatility crusher. Here it is applied to Meta, Facebook, basically. So this one looks a bit different. You can see it here. We have, these little arrows here, which are basically breakouts out of a range. So long breakouts or potentially also short breakouts. If we can find one here, let me just quickly see. Scrolling back a little bit further, find you a nice short signal, this one here, or this one here, or this one here. So we have these breakout signals. Not all of them work, of course. Some of them get stopped out, but oftentimes, we have a signal and a nice follow through afterwards. You can see it here for the short side, but also to the long side. That's a classic breakout indicator, where when a breakout occurs, we enter in the direction of the breakout, and the anticipation is that a price will move or will continue to move in that direction for quite some time afterwards. Let's look at the statistics. And I'm telling you, this indicator, even with default settings, has really good performance. So you can see 82% to the long side and 85% to the short side. And this is not uncommon with this indicator. All right, but let's see if we can even make this better. So once again, I'm going to open up the auto-optimizing version. There we go, going down to the AO version of this indicator, volatility crusher, attach it, and let's see what happens to these statistics. So once again, this will now load, and you can see it takes a little time to load because the indicator does all this performance crunching in the background to find the optimal parameters. We can see it here. Now we're at 96% and 77% across all bars, and in our optimization period, 94% and 87%. So once again, it improved. Google, last example, I promise, and then we're going to go back to the slides. Also in Google, we can see the same effect. Same indicator applied here to Google on the daily time frame. Get our short entry signals and our short ones and our long ones. Statistics are 79% and 75%, but with the auto-optimizing version, once again, we're going to be at much better statistics and getting higher quality signals. So attach, and the result will be, just a second, there we go, now at 91% and 80%, huge difference. They were already high, but we made them even better. Now we can always do better. That should be always, something we should be striving for. And now it's possible with or by using optimal settings for this particular symbol and time frame. All right, so let me quickly summarize so far, and please stay tuned because there's one more thing which is really important, which is coming. So stay tuned for this. So what have we seen so far? Well, our 3 indicators, which we've seen right now, which are part of our Power Bundle 360, they all come with clear entry and exit signals as well. They run on every time frame, every symbol, every asset class, and every platform. They come, of course, with our real-time statistics, and they all have auto optimization. And both these things, once again, this sophisticated technology allows us traders to use optimal signals and to make insightful trading decisions. Basically, only trading when odds are actually in our favor, and if not, would stay on the sidelines. Okay, one more example: confluence indicators. So, what's a confluence indicator? So maybe a word you haven't heard yet. Well, basically, confluence means, here like a more esoteric version. Confluence is a fancy word for when the stars or the good stars are aligning. What does this mean for trading? Well, basically, multiple indicators line up and forecast the same price move. Okay, quick example. Let's look at this chart here. What do I mean by this? What do we see here? Well, let's see, we have this trend line here. See this little black line going downwards? That's the descending trend line. All right. What else can we see? We can also see that this MA here, on this red line, this moving average, or I think this blue one here, this one is falling. It's going downwards. Okay, so a descending trend line. The MA is going down, okay, which could also act as resistance to some extent. We seem to have retraced a little bit, approaching the 61.8 FIB retracement level here. Okay, and we are overbought in the stochastics indicator down here. All right, so these 4 information put together, what would this signal? Well, they're all forecasting that this bearish trend is likely to continue. We see all 4 signs here: descending trend line. We are below the 200 SMA. We're just retraced to a key FIB level, and we are overbought. All these are forecasting, prices are going to go down. This is what we mean by confluence. Different types of indicators are forecasting the same price move. So we thought, all right, we already had so many indicators written. Why not also use these indicators to develop a new one, that's based on confluence of our Power Bundle indicators? And we've done this, which is called super signals. And basically, this indicator distinguishes between 4 different types of confluence: bronze, silver, gold, and platinum. I'm not going to go through all the details. Just one thing, that the most common one is bronze, and the most rare one is platinum. So basically, the quality and the strength of the signals increases from bronze to silver to gold to platinum. All right, quick look how this indicator works. And of course, also this one comes with win rate prediction and auto optimization. All right, so back to my chart, and I'm going to open up Eli Lilly. It's an important stock. It's been a very strong trend lately, going up and up, but lately it's been consolidating. But let's see what we see on the chart here. Look at what we see here. Let me zoom in a little bit. Okay, so I told you bronze is the most common one. You can see here a little bronze signal to the long side, here one to the short side. Here, a huge gold signal. These are rare. These are actually quite hard to find. Huge move downwards. Here, bronze signal, which didn't work out. I told you the quality of the signal increases the more we get to the gold and platinum level. Let me scroll back. Bronze long side, a bronze short, it didn't work out. Bronze long, nice trade here. Go further back. Huge gold signal. Look at this move afterwards. Another gold signal here, and so forth and so forth. So this is an indicator based on confluence and using auto optimizing versions of our Power Bundle indicators. So each of the underlying indicators uses optimal parameters, and then the super signals indicator looks for confluence between these auto optimizing indicators, giving you these really, really strong signals, which is really powerful. All right, so this is one last thing where it shows you how powerful this technology can be if you combine it in the right way and use it to your advantage. Okay, now let me go back to my charts one more time. And by the way, guys, if this goes fast, now we do have boot camps and training materials for all these indicators which you've seen so far. The purpose of this webinar is to show you how cutting-edge AI technology can make a huge difference in your trading for all kinds of trading. Okay, one last thing, and this is really where the strength of MetaStock comes in. One last piece, and it is, how do we actually know which signals right now have, which symbols right now have signals? How do we know this? How can we find this out? Should we go from chart to chart manually, or is there a better way? Of course, there's a better way. And also what's important as a question is, how do we know which signals are most likely, well, if we get signals, which are the most likely ones to result in a successful trade? That's two very important questions. So first off, which symbols have signals? And if we get signals, how likely is it that this signal will result in a successful trade? Well, with Metastock, it is possible to actually scan for this and see directly in the scan results what the likelihood of a signal is to win or to become a winner. We call this generation 3 scanning. What do we mean by this? So generation 1 is basically a plain old signal scan. Now you scan, you run your scan, and you see, hey, which symbols currently perhaps has a long signal and which symbol has a short signal. That's generation 1. That's old school. Generation 2 is to see directly in your scan results which signals are more likely to be successful. Basically allowing you to rank your signals directly in your scan results. Imagine you get like 50 hits, 50 symbols which currently have long entry signals. Do you want to go through all 50 symbols to find the ones which look the best? That's tedious again. I would like to sort those signals by their quality. That's possible with generation 2. But there's one more thing we can do. In Gen 3 scanning, in generation 3 scanning, it is possible, and this is possible with Metastock, that the scanner will use optimized parameters on a per symbol basis. Basically, let's say we're scanning through the S&P 500, we'll use optimal parameters for Tesla. Then when we go to IBM, we'll use optimal parameters for IBM. Then to NVIDIA, once again, we use the optimal parameters for IBM. So instead of using one size fits all, we are using optimal parameters for each symbol that we're scanning through. This may sound super complicated, but luckily, this all is happening behind the scenes. And all you need to do in Metastock, and just quickly show you how this works. If I go back to Metastock here, I will open up my Power Console and go down to Explorations. And all these indicators which you've seen right now, they come with powerful scans predefined. I'll scroll down here and you can see, for all our trading indicators, all our indicators, we have predefined explorations. So for 1, 2, 3 strike, for divergence cloud, super signals, and so forth and so forth. And all you need to do is to select these ones, select the symbols that you want to scan through, and click Start. I'm not going to do this right now because this likely will take about 4 to 5 minutes for all the S&P 500 symbols, but trust me, it's quite fast. And once done, I can simply go on Report here, view all reports, and then I can see directly in my scan results. All right, so which symbols right now have signals? Okay, so I have all my scans here, one for 1, 2, 3 strike, perhaps one here for divergence cloud. I can see it here. I can then see, hey, for this one here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 symbols with long entry signals, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 symbols of short entry signals. All right, and imagine that this was more. This was just the S&P 500, but there's thousands of stocks out there. This could have been a long, long list, especially if I scan across multiple time frames. I want to be able to sort and rank these signals. Well, let's do this. Let's sort these signals by this column here, our long win rate. So I click on it, sort from highest to lowest, and the first one that comes up with a long entry signal is this one here, Republic Services. Okay, let's open it up. This is for Divergence Cloud. Let's see how this signal looks like. Oops, I'll just my code center. I touched the wrong button. 1 second. It's opening up, and what we can see here is that first of all, yes, this is Divergence Cloud now loaded on this chart for Republic Services, and we can see here on the last completed bar, we do have a long entry signal. And if you scroll down here to our statistics, we can see that I have an 87% win rate on these long signals, historically speaking. And we're able to find this particular candidate here by simply running the scan and sorting, oops, where did it go? And sorting from highest to lowest. You can see it here. Divergence Cloud, across all the stocks with long entry signals, this was the one with the highest win rate. I could sort for this. Another example, Volatility Crusher. Let's look at this one here. So these are my scan results here, I will once again sort from, let me make this a little bit bigger. I will sort from highest to lowest. And the first one that comes up is, this is for the long entry signals. So the first one that comes up is actually this one here, Schlumberger, but this one actually has a short entry signal. So I'm going to ignore this one. And the second one with a long entry signal here, see this one here, and the second highest win rate is this one here, 94% quality for Qualcomm, which had a signal when the market closed last night. So let's check it out. Once again, back to my chart, to Qualcomm. There we go. Just hiding behind my screen here. There we go. This is Qualcomm on the daily time frame. We have volatility crusher applied to this chart, and we can see we do have a long entry signal here. And you scroll down to our statistics, 94% across all bars win rate for our long entry signals. And we're able to find this trade by simply using the Metastock scanner. Now you can see how, how much this will simplify your trading life, because you can use all these sophisticated tools, our sophisticated indicators, with a sophisticated platform like Metastock to find your best candidates. So it's a nice combination to have. All right, so let me go back to my slides one more time and explain to you whether you should consider potentially using these indicators. Well, let me ask you a couple of questions. Who are these indicators for? Well, these indicators can be used by day traders, swing traders, and investors alike. Why? Because they work on all time frames and chart types. You can use them for day trading on very small time frames and for longer term trading on daily charts and so forth. No problem. Also, it doesn't matter what you trade, whether you trade stocks or FX or futures or cryptos or ETFs, options, it doesn't matter. These indicators will work for all asset classes and symbols, period. Also, if you are a bit of an engineer, I'm a software engineer by trading, and if you believe that good tools can make your life easier and good trading tools can make your trading life easier, then these indicators are definitely something you should consider. Why? Because they will do all the heavy lifting and tedious work for you. They will find the best parameters for you, and they will show you directly on your price chart or on the expert commentary how well these indicators have been working. Now, the second information is so invaluable for making insightful trading decisions, which has been a game changer in our trading. Now, let me sum up. And I know there was a lot of information here. We're going to come to your questions in just 1 second. If you are interested in this bundle, we have put a special offer together, which includes, and just stay with me for a second, which includes our 3 power bundle indicators, which normally a value of 1,495, our super sequence indicator at 997, and our SuperTrend bullseye indicator for $797. And of course, all these come with auto optimization and performance statistics. But it doesn't stop there. We will also add another bonus offer to the mix, which is called Trend Radar. I'm going to talk about this in a second, which is valued at $397. Instead of paying the retail price, we would offer this bundle for only $1,997, and this is for life. But as a big thank you for attending this webinar, for a very limited time, I believe until Monday, we have decided to make this offer even more irresistible. Because for a limited time until Monday, you will get all these indicators, basically all our flagship indicators, for only $997, and this is for life. And all you need to do is to go to tradingindicators.com/mega. And Jeffrey, if you can, please put this link into the chat box as well. It's tradingindicators.com/mega. And just to repeat, you will get a lifetime license for Metastock, for our power bundle indicators, our super sequence indicator, our SuperTrend bullseye indicator, all equipped with auto optimization and win rate prediction, and you will get another indicator on top of all this called Trend Radar. Real quick, what does Trend Radar do? It will show you directly below the price chart what the current market conditions are like. So whether we are in a downtrend or perhaps an uptrend, whether there's a pullback within an uptrend, all these kind of information you can see by using our Trend Radar indicator, which you can use as a great additional filter for the signals of our other indicators. So we're going to add this one as well to the mix. So this is limited time, $997 only. We had a long discussion whether we should give such an offer, but yeah, we decided for a limited time until Monday, you will get this entire mix for only $9.97. And it's tradingindicators.com/mega. Now, Jeffrey, are there any questions? And I believe there are probably some questions that have popped in. Let me
Quite
see.
a number, yes.
Okay.
I'll start with YouTube. We have a question in YouTube from Gary. He wants to know if your AI models incorporate machine learning.
If you define machine learning as when new bars come in, the optimal settings will change and this will be taken into account, then yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Depends a bit on you what your definition of machine learning is.
Stephen wants to know, have you verified the actual results versus the efficiency percent shown? I'm sure you have.
Oh yeah, it was a game changer. So once again, we are only using the AO versions, first of all, of our indicators. Why? Because they will give us better statistics. And this has made a notable difference in our trading. Absolutely.
Al wants to know, should you keep multiple charts open, like daily, weekly, 30 minutes, etc.?
I guess it depends on your type of trading. Some traders, they use longer time frames just to get the overall sentiment where the market is going, and then they use lower time frames to time the entries. I personally, I typically like to keep it easy. And as mentioned, I like my indicators to do all the heavy lifting and find me interesting signals.
Vincent McCoy wants to know if you're going to bring liquidity IQ to Metastock.
That's an ongoing discussion, and hopefully, maybe in the summer or in fall, this should be the case. Yes.
Okay, cool. We welcome it with open arms. I've got my hands open now. My camera's not on. Let's see. Eddie wants to know if you have fully automatic versions of your strategies.
We do, but not for Metastock. Metastock, right now you cannot automatically trade on these signals, but for platforms like NinjaTrader or MotiveWave, we do. Yeah. But this offer, by the way, it's a Metastock only offer. So this is something we've worked out with Metastock, and it's available for the Metastock platform.
Yep, we're doing it for a Memorial Day special.
Yes.
Al says, "Wow, great deal." Yeah, it is. It's pretty incredible. I don't know if I'll be able to talk Daniel into doing it again. So get it while you can.
Don't know. Yeah.
Eric wants to know, do you have any specific feelings about curve fitting with optimization?
Yeah, it is a concern, but what we've done with our power bundle indicators, for example, for the optimization process, is that we have built in some measures where, for example, if let's say curve fitting is like a technique where you try to find the optimal settings so that historically speaking, it will include all the big winners and avoid all the big losers. Kind of, you curve fit to be best historically speaking. Our optimization method does not do this. It doesn't look at the size of the winners and the size of the losers in that sense. So it kind of is more kind of blindsided, which in this case is a good thing, because if you're fully aware and try to include all the big winners and exclude all the big losers, then you curve fit. But we don't do it that way. So we have some safeguards in place.
I want to add one thing too while I'm thinking about it. If you haven't tried Metastock before, we will throw in a free trial with this super cool deal. I want to say with Metastock, it's been rated #1 in its price category by the readers of Stocks and Commodities like 31 years in a row. We'll give you a real-time, we'll give you a delayed feed, and you can make that real-time if you want, but paying some exchange fees. But we'll throw in access to this, to Metastock as part of the offer today. Okay, Bill wants to know, Vincent says, super cool, exclamation point, and then there's 4 more explanation points. I decided that'd get lengthy to go that way far. He says, this is a great deal, I've got them all. Bill would like you to spend a little bit of time talking about the training and supporting documentation.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, this was a quick run through because I wanted to demo you what kind of impact these two AI power technologies can have. Now, every indicator, of course, comes with extensive documentation, which you'll get with the purchase, and a bootcamp explaining you, basically I'm explaining, this is all pre-recorded, every single detail of it. So how to tweak the optimization even further, how to change the trading style. Maybe you're only a long trader, You want to only optimize for long signals. All these things will be explained to you, also including how to run your scan, how to include certain additional factors into your scan, how to chain scans together. All this is explained in our boot camps, which you will get access to as well.
And it's immediate access. You can, as soon as you purchase, you'll be able to start watching those. So you'll have a holiday weekend to go through to watch them as well. Mike says, is there some place where I can get the recording mic? I'll just paste you the, we stream all of ours to our webinars to YouTube. So you can go right there and start over if you want, because we're wrapping up right now, I think. All right, I think that's all of the questions.
Yeah, and guys, and if I forgot a question, or Jeffrey and we overlooked a question, you can always reach out to us directly at tradingindicators.com. Go to the main menu, click on contact, put your question into the contact form, and I will answer every single question personally. So if you submit any extra questions today, you will get an answer just a bit after this webinar.
Eric wants to know, with auto optimization, are your settings changing over time?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Of course, as market conditions change, the settings also should change, because you want to always be in tune with the markets. So yes, absolutely.
Okay, Eric says, please ask, but it was the question I just asked. So there you go. All right. I also want to say that if you have more questions, you can reach out to us. We can answer any questions you have. I'm going to go ahead and type the phone number. It's 800-882-3040. And also, if you prefer not to talk on the phone, but you just want to shoot some questions to us, our sales team's available at metastock.com/sales chat as well. This is available through Tuesday. It's our Memorial Day holiday spell, and it's a great deal. So pick it up while you can. If you need a trial to Metastock, we'll throw it in there. We're going to have access to all of those trainings right away. What a great package. There you go. That's all I've got, really, Daniel.
Great. Yeah. Thank you, guys. And from my end, have a great long weekend. Take some time off. Perhaps watch some of the boot camps. And yeah, I'm already looking forward to the next event with Metastock. It's always fun to be here. Thanks, Jeffrey, for organizing it.
You bet. Eric asked me to put my email in the chat, so there you go. Feel free to reach out to me. It's Jeffrey, but spelled properly, which is JEFFREY.Gibby@metastock.com. Mike says, thank you. Daniel, have a good weekend. If I don't talk to you tomorrow, have a good holiday weekend. And thanks for joining us.
Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.